All right. Good morning. I think it's working. Ta-da! Yay, how exciting. How very exciting. All right, you guys. How have you been? I saw you the other day, but how are you doing now? Doing good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some fun updates and
Cool. I'm excited. Absolutely. And April's coming, and I'm sure we'll have a few more humans hopping on. I'm really pumped about today's conversation because we're talking about self-care. And I think that I'm hearing from a lot of people. I don't know about how y'all are feeling, but there are a lot of people who are feeling like their self-care routines are maybe just not their best in this moment, like life be lifing pretty hard. April, what's your self-care like?
It's currently about 20.
Okay, cool.
So I need to amp it up, and I'm working on it.
Nice. So here's the thing. There is a lot of societal pressure or dollar bills, y'all, spent on having us invest in their version of self-care. And their version of self-care is very complicated. It requires essential oils and bubble baths and wine and a girls' night and a long morning routine and all A1 AG1 supplements and it's aggressive, right? And so today I want to offer something that I know my community really needs. And I'm not just talking to y'all today, I'm talking to me. When you are a business owner, I know you can relate to this. There are seasons of your business growth that require you to lean in, right? And leaning in, it's not for the faint of heart, man. It's not for the 9 to 5 societally balanced life. It when you lean in hard. And so if today seems a little more chaotic communication wise, it's because I've had 5 hours of sleep or 4 hours. I think three might be where we're at, actually, if we're being honest. And so it was funny because I was thinking about it. I had a few friends reach out to me this morning. They're like, oh my gosh, everything's so great. There's so much momentum. We're working so hard. Things are so good. Or on the flip side, things are so crazy. And they're like, I really need to rein in my self-care. And I'm like, what does that mean though? What does that mean? What does it truly mean to rein in your self-care? What does it truly mean to get that back on track? Are you trying to chase yesterday's expectations of your life for today's situation? You know what I mean? So I'm going to share some little tidbits that I wrote down that I think are going to help get us all feeling a little bit more grounded and a little bit better about our self-care and our balance. Let me figure this out. All right. I'm using StreamYard because I want our lovely humans in our community to be able to plug in, but I'm still a rookie, so be kind. All right. So self-care. Self-care is not bubble baths and chocolate strawberries and pre-workout before a half marathon. It's not those things, actually. And so what I find as a coach is that a lot of people put stipulations or requirements on their desired emotional state. And all of the requirements are outside of themselves. So it's like, oh man, I just need to reconnect with myself. And you're like, okay, well, what does that mean? And like, well, I would love to burn a little sage and have a slow morning and, be at home. And I really want to whip out my yoga mat and do some yoga. And you're like, okay, but you're a professional speaker. You live on the road. So are you saying that every time that you're on the road, you can't connect to yourself? Right? So, or I hear this a lot with my mom clients. Like, okay, I really just need to get grounded. And so if I could just have like an uninterrupted moment. And it's like, last time I checked, motherhood is just full of interrupted moments. Like there are very few uninterrupted ones. And oftentimes the moment in which you need to ground yourself is when you're being interrupted, right? It doesn't conveniently like we don't need to connect with our self-care or ground ourselves when life is like going amazing. That's not when our awareness is attuned to how much we need to ground ourselves, right? It's usually when life is a little unhinged. That's when we are more aware of our need to ground or to connect or to slow down. And so the question becomes, what are your external requirements for your desired emotional state? Could you maybe achieve that emotional state internally without having to have the perfect environment or the perfect circumstance or the perfect situation or the perfect people around or the perfect time in your calendar? I need 30 minutes, not 15, right? So, how do you do that? What if it could be simpler? The journey that I would take you on is think about what comes to mind when you think I need more self-care. What comes to mind? What's your go-to? Like what do you do when you feel like you need more self-care? I'll share mine.
I sit in my bedroom. I sit in my bedroom and I put on Big Bang Theory because I've watched it so many times that I chill out and my brain just goes. And then I play a game on my computer.
Nice.
Or on my
I love it. So how long is an episode of Big Bang Theory though?
It's 21 minutes and I don't care. It just keeps on going.
Nice.
Like I have the seasons on Amazon, so it just goes and I just
Nice. I love that. So you disassociate through TV and it like calms your nervous system, right? Okay. So the goal of your habit is to disassociate. But you found like a relatively healthy way of doing that, right? Like some people disassociate with much more colorful means. I was one of them. And so Big Bang Theory, it's a great habit to have. And what if it's the middle of a busy day? I mean, you're golfing now, which it looks gorgeous and beautiful. But like you hustle, you grind, you do a lot. So what do you do when Big Bang Theory isn't available? When you can't binge and turn your brain off for 4 hours? How do you ground and reconnect then?
that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know an answer.
The challenge is that oftentimes our most easy access to self-care is disassociation. However, it is not readily available. To disassociate, we have to be able to unplug. We have to be able to carve out time away. And so, creating that self care, creating that grounding space for yourself while staying present, it's not easy, but it is achievable. It is possible, right? And so the question becomes if we have habits that are easy and they allow us to disassociate and they allow our nervous system to regulate, what could we do that would calm our nervous systems down or get us into the desired emotional state, whether that's gratitude or peace or motivation, whatever comes to mind for you, while staying plugged in, while staying alert, while staying present? And only you, I would love to be like, it is drinking green tea. That's how you do it. Buy this green tea right now. But only you know what that would look like for you. And so I'm going to give you a couple of things that help you not need to go into that disassociative state and for you to be able to create self-care internally without having to set aside, hours of TV, or set aside hours of bubble bath, or set aside all these external requirements. Okay. The first one is to remember every yes is a no. Everything that you say yes to in turn means you have to say no to something else. And so when you are trying to carve out the self-care, using no as a full sentence oftentimes creates the release of pressure, or the release of trying to do it all, or that lets go of this expectation that you have to be perfect and keep it up and behave as if you were the you from a month ago instead of the you are today. And so that's the first one, is be very mindful of what you're saying yes to. And is it creating more commitments for you, or is it creating more freedom? Is it aligned with the version of your life that you desire, or are you doing it simply out of habit? The second piece is, I hear this a lot. I don't care what so and so says, or I don't care what people think, or I don't care if this move upsets people, or I don't care what blah blah blah. I don't care. The fact you're talking about it tells me immediately that you care. But the other piece about this is that the I don't care uh perspective on stress or relationships, or what's going on, it actually devalues your self-esteem, because it's like, people can talk about me, or people can disagree with me, or people can whatever, and I don't care. Like, people are just going to hate me, whatever, moving on. And so the antithesis to that isn't that you don't care, it's that you know you. And this is where the self-care, like, I know that this might seem a little off topic, but I promise you that it's very relevant, because when we are choosing to lean in to either momentum, or lean into hardship, or lean into whatever life is calling us to lean into, we have to make some pretty tough decisions. And we have to behave often differently than somebody else who's going through a different season of life, right? And so there are misunderstandings, or there are missed expectations, or there are moments where somebody's not going to appreciate your season of life, whatever it looks like. And so when your response is, well, I don't care, you do care. And it only adds to the tension. And it only creates a little bit more stress. And it only creates the bigger the need for the bubble bath, right? And so focusing on, I know they said this, or I know this is a misunderstanding, or I know, I'm having to behave differently than my family has behaved in the past, or my friends have behaved in the past, but I know me. I know me. I know what I need. I know what I want. I know where I'm going. I know where my heart is. I know what I said. This is a big one. I have a couple of high producing agents who, like, they sell so many houses in a small town. And it's great because they moved from the city and they went to a small town, and they're just dominating, right? Like, they're crushing it. They're bringing all the work ethic and all the strategy and all the marketing, and they're really going after it. And then they're surprised when people don't really like them all that much. I'm like, well, yeah, you are reflecting back everything they didn't do. You are reflecting back what was possible all along. But because people don't say, hey, your success makes me insecure, right? People are never that honest. What we as humans do is we chalk it up to miscommunication. Oh, I must not have said that the right way. or maybe my personality needs a little toning down, or maybe I should work on being less intense, or maybe if I had said it this way, they would have understood. Like, no. I know me. I know the words I use. I know the tonality I use. I know that I'm a clear communicator, right? So focusing on not caring, because that's a lie. You do care. But I know me. I know my heart. I know my intentions. I know my words. I know my reality. Can't tell me differently. Yeah. The next piece is to release your expectations. When we are in a season of life that is highly abundant, or even just a little bit unhinged, uh, the tension or the stress or the burnout comes from resisting it. It doesn't come from the actual circumstance. It's all the fight that you put behind whatever hardship or whatever business growth or whatever challenge is in front of you. It's the fight that makes it hard. It's the hope, wishing that everything would stay exactly the same and you get all the benefits of everything changing. Like, that's not how life works. And so when we fight the change, or when we fight the hardship, or when we fight the challenge, then we usually end up getting a little hurt. And I see this with realtors a lot, because they'll go so hard in the paint, right? Building up their businesses. They're like, okay, I have been listening to Danny Burgess. I'm going to do an open house every single day. I'm going to crush it. I'm going to sell 100 homes this year. And then they get 10 under contract in a single month. And they're like, what have I done? Like, I'm working all the time. I'm so tired. My phone rings off the hook. Like, I just blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, yup. That's a step. That's a part of the process. That's the inevitable. It gets better. You learn leverage. You learn how to scale. You learn how to get through it. You learn boundaries, right? But what a lot of people do is they go, "Ooh, I don't want this." And then they go back to not selling houses, or they go back to selling 2 or 3 houses, because they were fighting the expectation of success. They were fighting what success actually looked like. Like, hey, you got it. You got your momentum. You got the success, but it doesn't look like what you thought it was. And so now you're resisting it, and now you're making it 10 times more hard instead of just leaning all the way in. The other thing that I see is there's a lot of self-judgment when we're going through hard times, or even great times. Like, how many times has something truly miraculous happened to you, and then you're like, oh, do I deserve this? Like, oh, I hope I don't mess it up. Oh, well, the last time something like this happened, I blah blah blah, right? And it's like the judgment piece will get you on a good day, it'll get you on a bad day. And so the antidote to judgment is curiosity. When you're feeling like things aren't going your way, or maybe you didn't perfectly do the miracle morning strategy where you sit in silence, and then you do the gratitudes, and then maybe you didn't do your 2-hour long entrepreneur morning routine. Maybe you didn't do it. Maybe that doesn't make you a bad person. Maybe you could release the judgment of being undisciplined or inconsistent. Maybe life is asking you to be simple. Maybe life is asking you to be quicker about it, right? It's requesting a little bit more urgency. And so if you're looking through a curious lens, you can ask yourself, has life changed? Do I need a new strategy for the expectations that I'm placing on myself? Am I inconsistent or am I setting myself up for failure? Right? But judgment won't let you get there. Judgment just wants to slam the door in your face, right? Nope. Access denied. Who you wanted to become, not happening. Curiosity is like, hey, I see that this didn't go exactly how you wanted it to go. How do we move forward? What did you learn? What's going to change? Right? And then the other thing that I see a lot with coaching clients, especially when they're starting to uh, move through a massive transformation, whether that's in life or in business, is we have this idea that we just need more self-care when in reality, and I knew I said I was going to stop cursing, but I'm not going to. I don't think I can. I really don't think I can. In reality, it's that we need to exit the circle of assholes we're in. Like, you sometimes life feels complicated or tense or what have you because you're around the wrong people. And it's simply that. Dustin told me something so smart. Dustin, of course, is so smart. But I was really struggling with my leadership journey. And he was like, Chels, a good leader says the same thing different ways to the same people. A great leader says the same thing the same way to different people. And I was like, huh. He's like, yeah, you keep going back to an empty well thinking it's going to fill itself. And I'm like, yeah. But how many times do we do that? I think that we do it most commonly with the people that are closest to us, right? And it's because we love them so much. Like, I don't know about you, but I love my employees. I love them. I fall in love with them. And not in like that kind of way, but like you believe the best in them. And you're like, you're the most amazing human and we're gonna conquer the world, right? And it gets really hard when you are looking at somebody through rose-colored glasses to hold them accountable. And so over the years, I've had to learn how to separate the person from the position. Right? And we do this really well in business. We're like, okay, can an employee be late? Can an employee not do their work? Can an employee cheat payroll? Can an employee, whatever it is, right? It's like, absolutely not. An employee can't. And then you're like, okay, well, then why are we letting Barbara be late, not do the work? You know, like it helps. You're like, yeah, maybe we should acknowledge that. But we don't do the person versus position in our personal lives. And so what happens is we're like, man, I love this person so much, but would I let my spouse treat me like that? Would I let my best friend gossip about me like that? Would I let my mom diminish my goals or not support me? Like, what, these are roles, right? They're roles in our life and they come with expectations. They come with accountability. If you want to stay in this position, then we have an agreement that I support you, you support me, you know? But we make all these concessions because, you know, Susan is going through a really hard time right now. And you're just like, okay. Or actually, Dylan, he had a really hard childhood. And you're like, for how long? How long has he had a hard childhood? I would love to know. That one's always my favorite. I'm like, his whole life, really. And just never recovered. You know? So I promised that I would keep these short. So I just have one more thing. to share with you. Self-care truly is about committing or being conquered. Sometimes when you feel like everything is just out of control, either in a good way or even in a bad way, it's because you haven't committed to it yet. You haven't committed to whatever season of life you're in. You haven't committed to what actions you're going to hold yourself accountable to. You haven't committed to how you're going to show up as a partner or as a friend or as a daughter or as a wife or a mother. Like, you haven't committed. And the thing is that when you stay in the gray, you don't know if you've won or lost. When you stay confused, it lets you off the hook. And then life is just happening to you. Oh my God. Right? But you can't escape you, and you can't escape your truth. And you know when you are playing confused. You know when you're letting life happen. You know that you have power that is beyond your wildest imagination. And so if you're in a season where self-care feels out of touch, I would challenge you to look at the areas in your life that might be creating the need for self-care. And number two, let's think about what emotions can you tap into that are going to leave you in a better state of mind and leave you in a committed position, a position of power where you're like, yep, this is my season. These are the things that I'm going to do, versus staying in the gray, staying confused, like needing the candles and the bath and the wine and the 4 hours of Netflix and the like, needing the disassociation. Yeah. So I hope this was helpful. What do y'all think? What's popping off for you?
I know you and I talk about this frequently, but one thing usually that comes to self-care that I try to do is focus on, like, okay, the behaviors that I'm doing, are they living towards my values? And if not, what changes do I need to make? But listening today too, it's not always that simple, because yes, my value is to have strong work ethic, be a good partner, prioritize my family, be compassionate. But there's sometimes that it's like, well, you can't do all of those things and not get burnt out. So it's kind of looking at, like how you said, like every yes is a no, and it being like, okay, well, if I'm saying yes to this right now, how does that affect the other things that I value? It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to just forget about them completely, but in the season of my life right now, maybe I need to focus on this one a little bit more so I don't get to that burnout level.
Yeah. Well, and I think I would challenge you on that. You can't do it all. I think you can, but it's how you communicate. Well, one, it's who you let define a good girlfriend or a good work ethic or a good whatever, right? When you allow the people in your life to define what your great looks like, then yeah, you're setting yourself up to be very disappointed at everyone. Just everyone's disappointed. But when you communicate like, hey, this is like, a value of mine is being a great friend. I want to be a great listener. I always want to be available when you call. And I'm going to be real with you. The next couple of weeks, I'm going to be chained to my computer for like 15 hours a day. So if you don't see me and you want to reach out, like, no, I've got probably like 10, 15 minutes where we could connect.
Yeah.
And like, then you're like, hey, I care about you. I want to keep our relationship going. And can you meet me halfway? Like, I can't do 2-hour walks at Mount Tabor, but I can do, like, you can call me for 15 minutes. You know what I like? Or even with work ethic. Like, I think that there are seasons of life where like we just had a family member pass, and like my work ethic isn't gonna look the same as when I'm going all in, right? But my communication and my expectations and my what I committed to, I showed up for. And so in that way I stayed consistent. And so I think that it's about defining it for yourself and then finding people who support those definitions.
Yes.
Yeah. Dope, dude. April, what'd you say?
I feel super good, and I'm happy because I've already kind of been getting there, and that's what 20%. Sorry if you can't hear. So no, this is brilliant, and I think it's perfect too. Like you were saying too, Claire, the whole yes is a no. Because in the last part of last year, I was absolutely there where I was just like, yeah, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. And all of a sudden I was like, nope, I've overcommitted. And not even that I overcommitted, but more I wasn't feeling energized by what I was doing. And that was my biggest thing. I was like, this isn't bringing anything good to me, and I need to stop this. So yeah, this was good. This was helpful. Thank you.
Cool. All right, you guys. I love you so much. I hope you have an amazing day. It's Friday, y'all. The sun is shining. April's golfing. Like, let's just have the best weekend. And I will see y'all next week.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, always.